know what I mean.
Oh, see?
To a place nice and quiet. I don't see us on YouTube.
No,
It's starting to connect right now.
I can't. I don't know the words. I make it up.
Nice and slow.
Now tell me what you want to do with me. See, I've been waiting for this for so long. I sang this in karaoke.
All right, we're live on
All right,
on
shoot.
YouTube. I mean, and I'll post this on Facebook right now.
Wow, we're like
Wait, what are you posting on Facebook?
the link
That
to
we're on
Link to
YouTube.
Oh,
Oh, got
look,
it.
there we are on YouTube. Hi, YouTube.
Hi,
Okay.
YouTube. Hi, Instagram.
YouTubes. Hi, Instagram.
And if you guys are on YouTube or Instagram, and tell people that we're on YouTube and Instagram, because
Thank you for being patient with us. and
Hi,
for
everybody.
taking it nice and slow.
Wah, wah.
Womp, womp. So, should we do the intro or what?
Yeah.
All
We're
right.
not on Facebook yet. Hold on.
Oh, no.
Wait, what? We're not going live on there, right?
No, he's
I'm
putting
posting
the
the
link.
link on.
Got it.
Hi, it's the Jerry. I'm glad you are working and binging through all of our podcasts.
Wait, who's following what platform?
I'm sort of following both.
Okay, well, assign.
A sign?
So,
I saw the sign.
No.
And I opened up my eyes. I saw
so
the
Elaine, why
sign.
don't you do YouTube and then Ryan, or whatever, Ryan do
Yeah,
Instagram,
that works.
or vice versa.
I'll do
Okay.
the
Yeah.
YouTubes.
All right.
All right,
link is
folks, we're
posted
just getting-
on the Facebook page.
There you go. I
Just
am
double
touching my
check.
face. Gotta stop touching
Just
my
do
face.
something.
look, it's growing back.
Yay! It looks like Joe.
Okay.
We're good.
Whenever you guys are ready.
Just do something no one's ever done
Done
before,
before.
but make it sound like something that's always been there forever. You guys told me to do the intro, right? Welcome to This Filipino American Life, a podcast that explores the nuanced experiences of Filipinos in the United States at iba pa. My name is Ryan Carpio, and I'm joined by my fellow hosts.
Joe Bernardo.
Elaine, touch her face. Flawless.
And
Mike.
yeah,
Producer
producer Mike.
Mike.
Do your own air horn, bro.
Yeah.
Oh man, how are you guys doing?
Surviving,
Yeah, quarantining or
quarantining, social distancing.
This is
Eating.
our third Wednesday in a row doing this, right?
Yes.
Yes, third Wednesday.
And so I just want to give shout outs to those folks who are joining us on Instagram and YouTube. Thank you. Last week we were fortunate enough to have both Mitch Narito and Eugene Cordero on, talking to us about how they deal with what we're experiencing as a world, actually, right?
Hey,
With this-
Joe, our
Yeah,
guest is in
world.
the waiting room if you want to let them in.
Oh, you should let
Oh.
them in.
Got it.
Yes, this is the third one in a row.
Okay, I don't know if I'm doing this right. Hi guys. How do I do
Hi.
Oh, put your camera on.
Okay.
There you
Oh,
are.
Yay, Terry.
how are you?
I'm good. We're live.
No, I'm totally not done up, you guys. I just woke up.
We
you
all did
look
too.
beautiful.
Oh my god.
Is who's Angelia?
It is my daughter. Hi,
Got
Joe.
it. Hi.
Daughter. I don't have a Zoom account. I'm not that cool. So yeah.
No, it just means you don't work at a school that makes you have one. So it's all good.
So yeah, how's your evening, guys?
Good.
Good.
I just got out of
chilling
work,
here.
so it's all right. All right, so we're good.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Surviving.
Yeah, how
So
are you
everybody,
doing?
everybody who's listening or everybody who's watching us right now, we have Therese Golingay,
Therese
Um,
Golingay Donnelly.
who is joining us, and she is a nurse practitioner. And she's gonna talk about I guess, kind of what's going on in the front lines and all the hospitals and all the ER rooms in, during this whole crisis. But before we even talk about that, how are you doing?
Myself,
Yes.
a little stressed, a little paranoid, and it becomes a little. There are so many changes with not only what's going on with the government, but how we're being guided in how to handle the situation. And this is where you have to depend on your leadership at your hospital or your place of employment to really get you through. People that have been guiding this have seemed to have a good head on their shoulders, where they are constantly reassessing how we're handling the situations, taking advice from leaders, taking advice from nurses who are on the front lines, who are actually doing the work, and really doing a great job of listening to us and working with us. So that is one way to kind of keep us on the front lines kind of relieved a little bit. But it's still kind of freaky to think, all right, here's a stranger coming in with these symptoms, and then they're just, doesn't matter how covered up you are, there's still a chance of something hitting you and you bringing it home. That's probably the freakiest thing to me. Like, I feel that if I were to catch something, okay, I catch something. Unfortunately, that's how a lot of us think on the front lines. We catch it. That's what it is. But okay, so now what are we bringing home to our kids and our husbands? So some nurses and physicians and healthcare workers, some of them are actually staying away from their families, especially if it's more of an intense or more catastrophic like situation for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Are you sort of expecting is there sort of an expectation that some of you or most of you will likely catch this if, because you're on the front line? Is that sort of like a given?
That is really probably the underlying belief between all of us. I mean, we all talk about what needs to happen should we catch it. So like between myself and my husband's a firefighter and he's still working the front lines himself wherever he is. And we have kind of a contingency plan of what happens if one of us catches it. Because we have kids that are 9 and 11. But at the same time, the people that typically help us are our parents who are in their 70s. And, you got to think, what's the exposure? Do we let our parents hold on to the kids who are in online classes and need a little bit more guidance and have them parent them for the next few weeks? Or do you keep your kids with you and then keep your parents completely apart from you? And that's one thing that we kind of struggle with, is not being able to see our parents, or, because we know that, I don't ever want to be the reason that one of my parents catches something that'll kill them. That's like the last thing I ever want.
And like, so Therese and I are we're cousins in the way that Filipinos are cousins, in that my Lolo and her Lola are cousins. That's the story we've been told. And her mom and my aunt, Vince's mom, were nurses at the same Kaiser unit. And I actually had asked Vince, because in New York, they were asking retirees to come back to work. Yeah. And I was like, do you think your mom is going to, like, if they ask people in California, well, do you think your mom will do it? And Vince was like, I don't think so. And I kind of was relieved, because I didn't want her to be honest, because she's the at-risk age. Yeah. Like, did you have that conversation with your mom to see if they asked, would she come back?
Yeah, my mom definitely said no. And it's, I mean, I don't even think that would be a thought process, because she actually retired early because of cancer. So, we're still thinking immunocompromised, even though she's a survivor and she's fought it. Like, why put yourself out there? Like, there are a lot of nurses that are kind of coming in, a lot of nurses who work on the fields who are ready to come into the hospital setting. And I think this is an issue. I think Governor Newsom said that he was actually going to allow nurses to bypass. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, because for the life of me, I go to work, I come home, I spend time with my kids, watch the news, and kind of get glimpses and get little ideas here and there. But apparently he was allowing, I don't know, like pushing for medical students to graduate so they can
Mhm.
function on the field, as well as nurses who are graduating to be able
Mhm.
to come out and work.
Oh, like instead of waiting and taking the NCLEX, just going straight into the hospitals.
Yes, and you know, with nursing, especially with California, one thing that we are able to do is you have what you call an IP, an interim permit, when you graduate from nursing school, and it allows you to work under the assumption that you are studying to pass your boards, and you're allowed to work to a certain capacity with an IP. And I think that's kind of the route they're going. You know, just there are some restrictions, some limitations with an IP license or like IP certification or whatnot.
Got it.
Mm.
So, before we get into the nitty gritty of kind of what's going on in the front lines, let's get to know you first.
Yeah, sure.
We all know that you are Lainey's quote unquote cousin.
Yeah. Aren't we all? I bet you.
Yeah, we're all cousins somehow. Where did you grow up? And then how long have you been a nurse?
So
Practitioner.
I grew up. So I grew up in the Valley. I'm actually from the San Fernando Valley.
Great 1-8.
Yay! Hey. So I grew up out here, and I grew up in pretty much in the Panorama City area. That's where my community is. And I became a nurse in, I was an LVN in 1999, so it's been a while. I was an LVN in 99, became an RN in 2001, and I became an NP in 2006. So it's been a while as a nurse practitioner. For a while as an NP, I was still working as an RN until I got hired by my current employer, where I've been an NP for, I don't know, 6 years, 7 years, something like that.
Wow.
You kind of lose track after a while, because I've been my employer that I'm with, I've been with them for 20 years, and I actually started off as a secretary, and they kind of helped me pave my way, and they helped me with my tuition and whatnot, and helped me move on to becoming a nurse practitioner. So it's been a cool journey. And I've gone everywhere from inpatient to outpatient. I worked out on the field in hospice and palliative care and home health. I've also taught. I was a nursing instructor for a short amount of time. And the only thing that I've kind of not gotten into is administration. I did it for about a year, and I was like, no, I can't do this. I can't do this. Like, I would never follow the rules when it comes to what administration needs to do. Like, I have a hard time telling the nurses no, because I think that we deserve the best. We put ourselves out there for lots of people, and sometimes we don't get what we deserve, so.
Got it.
Yeah.
ECL says bing.
Hey girl, that's my sis. She is my my little big sis. So she's my little sis in Kappa, but she's older than I am. So
That's Kappa Psi Epsilon, correct?
yes,
Oh.
correct. Yes,
Okay.
I am a founding mother of Kappa Psi Epsilon. So
Can you explain what Kappa Psi Epsilon is?
Kappa Psi Epsilon is a community-based sisterhood. So we are for the Filipino community. When we first talked about, I guess, so our anniversary was just last week. It was 24. We're 24.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So we're 24. And my lights came on. Yay. So I think we had come together because we saw that there was so much support for the Filipino male. This is when other organizations were coming up, and we were part of their sisterhoods, like their little sisterhoods. And we kind of realized that there are women out there who are willing to support the males, but what about the women who are willing to support the women in our community? And so, we kind of said, hey, we're a minority of minority. Why don't we give each other support and really work to bring ourselves up? And although now in this current society, it's not something that's uncommon. Like 24 years ago, it was pretty uncommon for us to say, hey, we're here, like we recognize us, we're capable of doing so much more. And we knew that the support could come from each other. And that's why we brought up Kappa Psi Epsilon. So we were 1996, and here we are 24 years later, really proud of my sisterhood and how far we've come. If you talk to any of us founding mothers, we really didn't ever think that it could get as big as it has and have the impact that it does. And so we're really proud, really, very proud of how far we've come.
Is it the oldest Panay sisterhood that's out there?
No, I want to tell you, I don't even know.
Uh,
I was so, I don't know if there are other Pinay sisterhoods. And I think again, I was so focused on what we were doing that there was never a comparative for me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like our answer was to support the sisters we have. What do you need? Not saying, hey, we can do better than them. It was never a competition for us. Our goal was to make sure that the sisters that looked for us, that knew that we had something they wanted and we had something to give them and we could just really benefit from our sisterhood. Like those are the people we answered to. We didn't answer to anyone else. And it's still the same.
Yeah. And it's founded in Long Beach, correct?
In Long Beach, yeah.
Long Beach.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. Then I came back to the Valley though. Here I am.
We all come back somehow.
Yeah, we do. Majority of us come back. I know a few people who say, I'm never coming back. And then they end up back here when they have kids. And I'm like, huh? See? It happens. But yeah.
Any questions or comments from IG or YouTube?
Well, real quick, there's Karen commented, yes, sisters, we need to lift each other extra. And she also mentioned that Sampaguita and Maria Clara started in the 60s. I imagine that's another.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. That's right. Yeah.
Well, there's also the Philippine Women's Club.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
All the women's clubs that happened in the late 50s, early 60s, stuff like that.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And again, like I said, I hate to sound so ignorant, but and it is the way it is right now too. And when it comes to situations, I focus on where the focus should be. There's no comparative for me. There's no, I just need to know, what do you need? What can I do for you? What can we do to make this the best experience for you so that you feel like you can give out to the community. And I think that's where a lot of us were going. I was active the first couple of years. The third year I went on AP, which, AP is not advanced placement when you're in college. And my thing was I ended up coming home and having to refocus. So when I came home, that was the pure development of Kappa. That was when things were really, we were coming up with all kinds of great things, and I missed out on a lot of it. And it's something that I regret missing out on, but I was so focused on getting out of the slump that I was in. A lot of us kind of lose focus in college, and I was one of those. And my focus went from being on the dean's list for 3 semesters to being on AP. And I kid you not, when I say AP, my GPA was 0.669.
Oh my
That
goodness.
was
Wow.
yeah. And it wasn't so much that I was stupid. I was stupid for not going to class, but I was just distracted with what the world had out there. I was like, oh, I'm going to go to this party. I'm going to do this. I'm going to use my cousin's ID. Just all this stuff that was, I grew up in a pretty strict household. So like, it was just amazing to kind of get out there and see it was out. And I just, I learned my lesson, because the second that I got home, my parents were phenomenal. And they kind of told me, you have a choice. You can either go back and live at home. You live at home and we'll let you, you have to go to school here, prove that you're going to school, do your thing. And you can go out on the weekends for your friends, or you can live in Long Beach for the week and come home on weekends. I mean, what's that choice? I mean, my parents were smart, man. I mean, so I was lucky enough that they didn't pressure me. They gave me a semester off, and that's when I decided I wanted to be a nurse. And then I just went gung ho. So, and I never stopped. And I became an NP at a young age. I was 25, so 24, like something like that. I was there, but in the path of finding myself professionally, I feel like I really moved away from the sisterhood. And when it came time for me feeling settled in my place, I actually go back now and I'll I'll speak with the sisters. I'll give them whatever I can, times of support. I make myself available if they just feel the need to talk. And, I get it. I'm older. So some of the stuff they do, I'm like, what does that mean? Like, I don't know some of the chants they have. Like all these little things. I'm like, oh my God, I don't get it, but okay. I got you. I got you. I get it.
Does it ever cross your mind about like, filling a stereotype among Filipinos and being
God, like a Filipino nurse, like that kind of
yeah.
Oh, sure. Dude, I tell you, when I went to school, I did not want to be a nurse. I was like, I am not going to be my mom. I don't want to. And so when I went to Long Beach, my major was criminal justice because I was determined to be a cop. I wanted to be a detective. Ultimately, I wanted to go into the FBI. That was what I wanted. And it's because I wanted to be a real life Scooby-Doo. I wanted to be that was it, and I remember when I messed up in school and I had to move home, my mom had me talk to my grandma, and grandmothers, God bless them, but man, they pull on your heartstrings. They know how to get you. And my grandmother sat me down and she said to me, are you sure you want to shoot people? You're small. You're so little. And I was like, I'm strong. And she's like, yeah, but you're short. Like all these things. And, in my strength, and I knew that if I really wanted to do it, I would have just done it. But like, there's also something about our culture where you feel like you have to adhere to their pleas, or you're like, I can't break my grandma's heart, because honestly, it's a dangerous place to be. And, I don't want my grandma to worry about me every day. Does she worry if I'm being shot? Like all this stuff. And it's not, I'm not going to be shot at every day, but is there a chance? Yeah, there's probably a chance. So I ended up choosing nursing.
You should have told her, I went into criminal justice because I wanted to be a criminal.
Oh my gosh. I already got caught stealing at Fedco. So I was
oh my
I
gosh.
got caught stealing at Fedco and I was like 11 or 10. And it's horrible. So she probably knows. If I said that, she would have believed it.
Did my tita catch you? Because she worked there on Sundays.
Oh, did she? No, man. Like we had, and this is why I remember it, because this is when UNLV won March Madness, and I remember because they had won, and the undercover dude had on this burgundy UNLV sweater, and I was like, hey, dude, nice sweater. I didn't know he was watching me. So.
Wait, what were you trying to rack? Were you trying to get like organizer stuff?
No, it was so dumb. I was
don't incriminate yourself. Don't incriminate yourself.
It was so dumb. Because I don't know. I just, I wanted to be like my older cousin, and she started wearing makeup. So I stole the concealer.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't me. Like I had another cousin who was with me, and she had I remember telling her, hey, I'm going to steal. And she's like, you are? How do you steal? And I was telling her all this stuff. And of course, when she's the one who got caught. And what they did was they ended up checking myself and my poor auntie. So she got caught. I remember distinctly, she had this little Mickey Mouse bag. It was like the tiny one that you can put your coins in. And it was sticking out of her front jean jacket. So yeah, so obvious. And then I don't know, it was just, I'm sorry, I'm totally going off.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
That is how I got caught and how I stopped stealing. I couldn't even steal gum after that. Sometimes you're like, oh, I can take a little chicle, and even to this day, I'm like, are you sure you want that glove? You want that glove? You might put it back,
This is why Mike always looks at me when we're in the store, because he thinks that I'm going to shoplift or 5-finger Burt's Beeswax or lip balm.
Yeah, because there's a little, you could just stick it in your pocket. But
you always have that look on your face, though, Elaine.
Don't listen to that.
What look? What look?
The I could just totally slip this into my sleeve and walk out of here, and it'll be totally fine, and no one would notice.
I could see that.
Yes. I mean, yes. But
to our listeners out there, please do not.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Don't do it. It was so scary.
I mean, he was telling me, we're going to take you in handcuffs and take you out. I cried. Like
Lies.
maybe I peed on myself. I don't know. A while ago, but you know, it was definitely scary, and it's not worth it.
No. And then look, you then wanted to be a FBI agent and then turned into a nurse. So it all works out.
Yeah.
Nurse practitioner.
God, I think the reason that I kept going for an NP was it allowed you to do detective work on your own. I mean, like, you know, medical doctors do it all the time. DOs do it. I mean, the goal is to find out why you're feeling the way you feel.
Yeah.
Why do you feel the way you feel? Let me order some diagnostics. Let me get some labs on you. Let me talk to you about this. And then ultimately you come down to, okay, that's what fits. So it works for me.
So you are still Scooby-Doo.
I am Scooby-Doo, and hopefully, yeah, I am. I'm not as cute, but you know, Scooby-Doo.
So now that you are a nurse practitioner,
Yes.
did you ever imagine going through something like this?
No.
Or any kind of epidemic, pandemic, anything?
Not at all. I mean, you know, I briefly remember going through the whole SARS and Ebola thing, and it wasn't even huge around here. I mean, I was working in healthcare, but it's not like it was something that we were worried about, at least to my knowledge. When you talk about pandemics, you're thinking about things like HIV, where, you know, back in the 80s, that was something that such a huge stigma. You know, you have HIV, and the hard part about it is we didn't know how you would catch it. And that's the problem right now, is like, here's this virus and there's not conflicting, but ever changing information. How do you need to protect yourself? We know it's airborne, and some people can argue that's aerosol, although I think we're sticking to airborne. So airborne and aerosol, it's always depending on the size of the molecule. The size
aerosol,
of the
like an Aquanet?
Yeah, very similar. So when aerosol happens, someone sneezes and it goes in the air, the molecules are so tiny that they can actually float in the air for a long period of time. And that's something that I want to tell you that they've pretty much ruled out, but that was something that was going around. Otherwise, airborne are the larger droplets that usually don't pass through your typical surgical mask, that kind of just go out. Like you sneeze, it goes out and it goes straight to the ground, where an aerosol, you sneeze and it lingers in the air. So someone passing by, you know, an hour later can potentially inhale it. And that's what they're saying. It's no longer that anymore. They were going back and forth. There was just so much conflicting information. I think that's what's fearful for us, you know, especially for those of us who are on the field, and we're meeting people, we're meeting strangers, we're seeing patients who are like, this is how I feel. And then they sneeze and you're like, oh, what just happened? Even though you're covered up, the fear is still, did that go through their mask? Did that go far enough on me? Which is why social distancing is so important. Why I'm a believer in wearing masks out in public. I don't go out without it because I don't know, like I would rather protect myself and look dumb. You know what I mean? Like I don't think it's a dumb thing, but I would rather protect myself and just make sure that I'm not inhaling anything. You know.
So what are you seeing in the front lines? Like, is your hospital capacity? Is there enough equipment for you, like masks and gloves, et cetera? Like, what are you seeing from your vantage point?
So I want to tell you, we're probably at a best case scenario right now for our facility. We are at the point where the need is increasing for screening. We're lucky because now testing is is a little bit more available. What else do I say? We have, so in my facility, it's attached to a bunch of other clinics. So you have the main hospital, which we consider inpatient. And then you have your ambulatory side, which are the clinics you go to, like the people you see when you have a doctor's visit and whatnot. The inpatient side is the people who are acutely hospitalized. So in the ambulatory setting, which is where I am, I'm a gastroenterology nurse practitioner. We are being siphoned out. So all of our elective cases, for my department, you're looking at colonoscopies mostly, so then
Oh,
that takes,
ouch.
yeah. Let me know if you're ever interested. I'll hook you up with, I will write your prescription and I'll get you. But so
Right
and
is.
that's a bulk of our procedures, it's a bulk of it. So currently we're only doing the necessities. We're only taking care of the necessary procedures. Even if people have just little complaints of whatnot, we do upper endoscopies also. So each case is evaluated by our gastroenterologist, and they kind of figure out what they need to do, if they need to do a procedure, or if we can push back a little further. So, each those cases are done on a case-by-case basis. But with the screening colonoscopies, you guys can wait. We can, we'd hate to say, come in, let's make sure your colon's clean, but hey, when you leave, there's a chance you might have COVID-19, so that's not something that any of us are willing to do. And the same thing with elective surgeries. So all of those nurses, healthcare workers, even some physical therapists, like we're being siphoned out into these little clinics that we have on the outside. So outside of our facility, we have tents. And initially we started off, each tent does a different thing. You kind of start off, you kind of check in just like you are. So essentially how it's working right now is our tents are like an urgent care. It's an outside urgent care, but the patients never leave their cars. So someone speaks to them, sees what they need, kind of guides them to the line they need to go to, and then someone evaluates from that line. And if it's something where the doctors really need to evaluate, they'll go ahead and actually evaluate them. But we do swabs. They do a majority of these urgent care visits are telephone visits. And if the telephone visit by description, by complaint, if the doctor feels you need to come in and get swabs or do sputum, or you need a lab test, whatever it is, you come into that line and we direct you to where you need to go. So instead of people leaving their cars, we're coming to them and we're protecting ourselves so that these patients who potentially have COVID are not going into our facilities and infecting the whole area. So this is how we're really trying to protect ourselves and protect our community.
So we have a question from the Instagram live.
Sure.
D.E. asks, in addition to testing and immediate care for the most vulnerable, what aspects of the system do you feel need to be changed immediately? As someone in the front lines, you have a unique point of view. Thanks for that question. And
yeah,
how would you answer that?
So it's so hard to say because everyone would have to be evaluated. And I have to tell you, every person that we speak with gets our utmost attention, regardless of your age, because there is no discrimination with this virus. It really doesn't care. But for those people, say for instance, you come to me and you say, I've been having this cough for about a week. And then I look at your chart and I can see that there's a history of diabetes, heart failure, regardless of the age. I will push for maybe just, it's going to be a swab anyways. We swab our people anyways. And that's usually a 24-hour turnaround. And then depending on what happens there is, the treatment depends, really depends what your symptoms are and what the treatment is. And remember, viruses don't have a cure right now. We don't have anything. I don't know per se how our physicians are treating our COVID patients in the hospital. I'll definitely tell you, I don't know exactly what medications they're choosing. And I think they're, again, a case-by-case basis, how each one wants to treat somebody. The treatment in one room will not be the same as the treatment in the other room. So really it depends on what their health history is, what their complaints are. We have people sitting in the hospital right now. I want to tell you there are either 2 or 3 on ventilators right now in our hospital. And we have 9 that are being monitored, what we call PUIs, which are, they're persons under investigation. We're awaiting their swab results. And then what we do is we treat the symptoms. And this is the truth for any virus. If there's no cure for it, there's no treatment for it, we don't have a medication that takes care of it, we treat the symptoms and we treat the patient. These patients who are on ventilators, something that happens with some of these cases, the ventilator allows the lungs to rest. So when the body is resting, it's given enough ample time to kind of up its immune system to fight the virus. And the only thing we can do is be supportive. That's all we can do. Yeah, but when it comes to the older population, gosh, I got to tell you, this whole stay at home thing is the only thing I can say, because my poor parents, I mean, they're in their 70s, and I just, I don't want them out at all. They're going to do what they want, but I couldn't be any more on them to stay home. My brother's getting on them to stay home, because the fear is that if they do catch something, majority of the cases, the higher percentages of the deaths that happen from COVID-19 are for your elderly over the age of 60, so yeah, I hope I answered that. I don't know
Yes.
if I told.
No,
Yes.
you totally did.
You
Okay.
totally did. I think that's part of this conversation is really, we as folks who are staying home, we don't get to see what happens on the front lines.
Yeah.
And you have the kind of like a unique perspective, and also just we're learning so much about this every day.
Yeah. No, agreed. As are we.
Right. And when you said sometimes the treatments are very different, and clearly because it affects your body, and there's some folks who are asymptomatic. You're not going to be able to treat them with anything, and just go home and rest, and don't infect anybody else. And then there are folks who would need a respirator or a ventilator. So totally understand that. So much props to you and love to you guys for doing that. So.
Absolutely. If we talk about this all the time, like, I'm per diem, which means I am on call. I guess I'm not guaranteed a certain amount of hours. The hours that I work are geared primarily for procedures. I do a lot of procedures in my department, and a lot of telephone visits, for my cases, and I do a lot of organization. So, when we go out there, regardless, I have a choice as a per diem to say, hey, I'm not available. You have about a month, I think a month out, you can say, I don't want to work. And I'm kind of torn right now, because I feel like, should I stay home? Should I stay home and protect my family here? Or do I continue to serve the community as my heart wants to? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it becomes it's such a puller, because I do have the opportunity. A lot of your healthcare providers don't. A lot of they're required to go into work, required to go into their assignment. And here I have this option. And I want to tell you that I'm most likely going to choose to continue to be on the front lines. And, you can go either way. You can either feel like stupid, you have an opportunity, stay home, or, stupid while you're working. Like, I don't know. I feel very torn, but at the same time, my heart leads towards helping this community, because this is the community I grew up in. These are the people. Today I saw somebody I used to work with at another facility, and she's like, oh, you're so grown up. I mean, she's known me for maybe 15, 16 years. And I said, well, where are you? She goes, I'm retired. But she walked into the hospital 2 weeks ago, and then she developed a cough. And I'm like, all right, let's, I don't know, but at the same time, everyone is manifesting symptoms differently. So you can never assume. You treat everybody as if they are a positive COVID patient. That is how we need to act here.
Just a quick question.
Sure.
I'm sure there's a large percentage of Filipinos who are at the medical staff at your hospital.
Yes.
And I know a lot of like Filipino nurses who are still working, and they're like in their 50s, 60s, approaching their 70s.
Yeah.
What do they do? Do they just not work anymore, or?
Oh gosh, I don't need. I want to tell you that some of them can use their vacation. So this, again, I'm speaking to my facility about my facility.
Of course.
Some nurses are able to say, can I take my vacation? And depending on their supervisor can either approve it or not approve it. And I think with the state, you can actually leave, like, FEMLA, the Family Leave Act, where you can say, I don't, because apparently we have some people who don't have babysitters, or you have somebody who's positive COVID at home. There's also another act that's going on right now, and forgive me for not knowing this, but I think that's something that allows you off for a certain amount of days or weeks.
It's like 14 days.
Yeah, 14 days. Okay, to take care of that person. But from, there's a lot of frustration with what's going on, what has happened. And I think that we are not given the correct answers or the proper answers. And it also could be them still just finding out themselves out there. So a lot of us feel like we have to just protect ourselves. And if that means not working, then don't work. If you have high risk of catching something, you have a high risk of work, you're working in a facility where, or a unit where there's a positive COVID patients, or you're getting a slew of them, which they are now having just COVID units where all the patients are going to be all COVID positive patients. You're at risk. And if you have heart failure, you have diabetes, you have any kind of immunosuppressive, complications like, or disease or whatnot, like, immunocompromised diagnosis, or you're on immunosuppressants for some people, this is probably not a place for you to be. And this is something where you have to communicate. Someone asked me the other day, hey, I'm taking this medication, which is an immunosuppressant. Do you think I should keep working? Do you think I should keep being on the front lines? And I said, you know what, talk to your boss, because truth of the matter is, if we probably have enough people for now, but there's always something for you to do in the back end, on the back end. There's always something. We will always need help. Currently, what's happening is, like I said earlier, we have our nurses on the ambulatory side who are being asked what is it that your skills are, so we can potentially use you on the inpatient side. So, some nurses are kind of freaking out because they haven't been on the inpatient or acute care side for years. And, to those nurses, I got to tell you, if you're pretty much deemed to work, trust your skills. Like, you are a nurse for a reason. You pass those boards for a reason. You take care of patients for a reason. And it doesn't matter if you haven't been on the unit for a while. It's fear that's going to set in first, of course. But when you work as a team and you work as colleagues, you can accomplish so much with what skills you have, and you can learn much. You're smart, you can do it. I think it's just fear that sets in it. And that's the problem with this whole situation. There's so much fear of the unknown, and we don't know how to address it. Again, information gets changed. Even on a daily, when I go to work, we have the tents are always set up differently because the needs change. All of a sudden the lines are too long, so we have to extend the cars to go in this direction, or all of a sudden we're finding out that this is a better way to do our tents. So in our facility, we have a tent for people who have just fevers. We have a tent for people who have fevers and coughs. And then we have a tent for people who have shortness of breath. And usually that's a fast track to the emergency room. But we have oxygen. We are ready to get you over there. We're ready to take care of you. We just need people to come in when they start to feel the symptoms so we can test you earlier. And, I think sometimes what happens with what's happening right now is people are waiting a little bit longer because they don't want to go out. But if you have an inkling and it's not right, it's okay to come and get tested. That's what we're here for. Don't come in if the symptoms are not severe enough. And that's so hard to say because it's subjective. It's so subjective. But if you feel like you want to get tested, you need to get tested, please come in. That's what your insurance pays for. That's what we're here for, so come in, get tested.
We have another question from Instagram. Do you feel that the PPE supplies are being managed properly for the provider staff to last an extended pandemic period?
Currently, we're not getting much. To be honest with you, I mean, I've read things all over the place where people are like, I've heard the president say how, what are they doing with these masks? Where are they going? In our training, we are required to change our masks per encounter. And even if it's, sometimes even the same patient, I mean, if they're actively coughing, you're going to change your mask every time you come in, and this is the thing, is that there's mucous membranes that it attaches to. So that includes your eyes. We have to protect our eyes too, because it can adhere to your eye and infect the rest of you. And that's something that some of us are forgetting. So, I go around with goggles. I have an N95 that I reuse the same one. I've used the same one for the past couple of days. And then I have a mask over it, which I have, we were lucky to procure. Some people are making those those what are they called, the cloth masks.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm doing is I'm using the cloth mask on top of my N95, so it just decreases the chance of my N95 getting all the stuff all over it, you know, and then
Contaminated, yeah.
wash the mask, you know. I wash the cloth mask. And
So
then
it's like another layer of protection.
Yeah, correct. And you know, I was so dumb. I clocked in at my actual office, and then I walked over to the tent with all that stuff on. I swear I was going to pass out, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I can't breathe." Like it was just. And I got there. I thought I was protecting myself. I was like, "Man, I'm gonna die before I even from an asthmatic attack." You know?
Oh no.
Yeah. So, but we're doing our best to protect ourselves. Like when I come home, my goal is to take off my clothes in the garage. Like that's what my goal is to do. I actually walked in today because we didn't have a clear path in the garage. And I threw all my stuff in a bag and I went straight to the washer. I just washed everything, showered, got it all taken care of, just washed up. Again, the fear is that I'm bringing something home to my family.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's your routine every day when you. Wow.
Every time. Yeah.
So it's interesting. Folks are like sending masks and everything to hospitals, but it also feels like folks should send healthcare providers, anybody first responder, like laundry detergent, because like I imagine you're going through so much laundry.
Yeah,
you're washing it like every day.
Yeah, we have to be really diligent about it because again, the virus can live on different surfaces for different amounts of time. Clothing is more porous, so gosh, for the life of me, I can't remember the amount of hours, but you know, as you listen to epidemiologists and infectious disease people, it's like you prefer a porous surface over a hard surface. The porous surface, they can actually fall off of them and kind of go to the ground and just die on their own, you know. But with the hard surfaces, they can live a lot longer. So I think your plastics and your metals, you know, they can last up to 72 hours. So I told people, stop wearing jewelry. Don't wear it out to work. So I wear my wedding ring. I don't wear my necklace, not my earrings, nothing. There's nothing that's, you know.
So then you are single when you go out.
I'm single.
All single ladies. All single ladies. You swear she's going to work and like party.
Right. First of all, there's nothing attractive about anything that I look like. I look like I got a cap on, I got goggles, I got two masks, and then like I got like powder blue scrubs. I look like a Smurf. Like there is nothing cute about it, you know, but whatever, you know, but yeah, so the goal is really just not to bring anything home. So yeah, laundry detergent would be great. Only because you can't find it, you know, like you go to the stores, you're all like, who took all the Tide? You know,
yeah.
You know, right? It's like crazy. So, and it's hard for us who work in the hospital because half the time we're like, we don't have time to come out and we can't hit that 7 a.m. or that 8 a.m., especially if we have kids. Like we can't hit those hours of shopping.
Right.
And I kind of just hope that, I know Costco out in, gosh, I don't know, they're in the South Bay somewhere. I forget what city, but they opened it for healthcare workers at 7 a.m. And that helps. You know, they don't do it every day. They just do it on, you know, you can do one day a week or something, but they opened at 7 or 6 and they allowed the healthcare workers to go shopping. And that was, so I called the Costco's around here. They're like, no, ma'am, we don't have those. I'm like,
maybe that's what we should like lean in on, like Tide or Clorox or one of all those companies. Like they should give you all care packages full of laundry detergent.
Yeah.
Great. Give me a few pods, you know. You just,
like
pods,
all you laundry people, all laundry company people, like donate boxes of detergent to the healthcare workers.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, we are, you know, and shampoos, soap, like it's so crazy to say, but it comes down to us not bringing it home to our family, and that's the most important thing. So we're gearing up at the hospital. We're covering ourselves as well as we can, but we don't know what's living on our parts, the parts of our bodies when we come home. So that's probably the scariest thing for us. So
what's the morale amongst your coworkers and stuff?
We are psyched to help. we feel that there's not one of us that's upset about being at work. Like we are in it. We are supporting each other. We're kind to each other. We are really going out of our way to do what we need to do, or going beyond what we need to do. And there's a lot of camaraderie. It is a really nice place to be, work-wise. You know, we are, and the nice thing is about our administrators, the people who are over where we are, they've been listening to us, and that's really just in general for the people who are doing the work to be listened to. That's what we need, because if you listen to what the workflow is, being able to see, hey, this is where it's going, this is where it's failing, and they're listening to us. And that's why I say it changes on a daily, because we really don't know, you know, when things start to ramp up, how can we better organize? What's a better way to do it? So we're lucky right now because we're on the West Coast. It hasn't hit us as hard as it's hit the East Coast. So we're kind of learning about how it is over there, but adjusting our practices to our communities. So what happens in my facility will be different, may be different. It may be the same, but it all depends on, you know, the organization of the facility. Where's your parking? How many people are in need? How many people are calling? So it's, you know, it's just a lot of ways that we do this. Sorry.
Real quick, Mitch Nerito is joining us on Instagram. He was our guest last week. He says, all Filipino moms have a stash of shampoos and soaps from all the casinos and hotels. Hit them up.
Seriously?
Actually,
Mamas, if you have any donation.
Hotels.
I do.
All the
I
casinos.
have mine. I know, you know, I have my own, and my husband's always like, why are you taking the shampoo? You don't need it.
Because you're supposed to.
Moms know best, I swear. My mom would take those too.
Yeah. Like, there's nothing wrong with free shampoo, okay? You paid for it.
Yeah,
take it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I have a bunch of shampoo. It's a California casino brand.
I know Mike always gets mad at me because I would, like, when we first check into a hotel, I would like take all the soaps and then like when we're done and go out for the day, it's empty because I want them to give me a full set.
Yes.
So that I can take it home when I'm done.
Hotel Fedco, Elaine.
Yeah.
No. I'm paying for the hotel room.
No, I'm just kidding.
The hotel room.
We paid for the hotel, okay?
I'm just kidding.
But this is so we've determined people who make laundry detergent need to donate to healthcare workers. People who have all those like soaps and hotels who aren't using their product right now should donate that to like healthcare workers, because like Mike, the IG live cutout according to Vincent Collier, if you want to go check out. Hi Vince.
Oh, okay, hold on.
Mike.
Hi Vince. Oh, is he still?
But we're on YouTube live, so that's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mike is gonna check that. Have you gotten like kind of donations on like, you know, homemade masks or homemade like sanitizer, stuff like that?
Sanitizer, no. One of my great friends, Ivy Sujati, came by, and she had a friend who had made masks for various, like sewed masks for various nurses, and she came by yesterday and dropped off 20 masks to us. So I took that and I kid you not, it felt like Halloween, like I was handing out masks, and people had their hands out like, I'll take it. So this is the way we use our masks. So we have the N95s under, or even just a regular mask. The masks that are homemade go on top of those. And that just gives us extra protection especially if we are not wearing N95s. So it really just helps us out, you know. We've had some people make some masks, and, you know, and they've donated, which has been phenomenal. And, you know, what's nice is that I think this is their way of contributing, and that's actually a good way of contributing. So apparently when people hoard, people feel like that's the way that they prepare for something that they have no control over. But what you can do is, if you can spare your toilet paper money and your paper towel money, you can donate something like, even just like, again, detergent, shampoos, which are great ideas from you guys, or even contributing some masks if you are a seamstress or you want to practice how to sew. Like I have a friend who learned how to sew, and he messaged me and he's like, hey, look what I did. I'm like, oh my God, that's so cool. So he's sending me a mask. I'm like, this is
awesome.
phenomenal. So yeah, it's a new thing. He's like, I have nothing to do. He's just coming up with different things, and he felt like he wanted to help in some way. And that's
cool.
That's
I learned how to sew. I learned how to sew too.
You did?
Yeah, I sewed that on YouTube.
Oh,
I sewed that I sewed that on IG.
my gosh.
I love it.
I knew it was coming too. I was like, I saw your face and I was like, this is not going anywhere
You're like,
serious.
He's not.
Oh my goodness.
You're not
gracious.
helping me.
Oh,
You're
sorry.
helping me. You know, honestly, what I love about it is like even talks like this where it almost feels like we know we're all going through the same struggle. We know it.
Yeah.
None of us are happy with what's going on right now. And for the people who get angry out there, it's validated. It is validated. It's validated. You're frustrated. You're angry. You're sad.
Mhm.
There's like an amalgamation of feelings that we're all feeling right now. And I think that's why us on the front lines, like there's no other way to be but to say, hey, this is it. We either work together or we don't.
Yeah. I
Mhm.
just want to give a shout out to somebody, Jamil. She messaged us on Facebook, like a message that basically was like they're a nurse in Philadelphia, and that listening to TFAL was helping her get her mind off of the stress of her job, and that like it's important to have these outlets because like the job right now for healthcare frontline staff is a lot.
It is.
And so you need to have an ability to turn your mind off, and TFAL is that for folks. And so we just want to say thank you, especially to Jamil. So I hope you hear this on your way to work.
Hi, Jamil.
Hi, Jamil. Thank you again for your support.
Because we all read your message, Jamil, and like legit started crying because we feel like we don't really like this talking to each other. Like this is nothing. Like this is just us being friends. But you all, like Therese, Jamil, you're doing the hard work. And so like how can we like as non-medical people like support you? In like what can we do? I'm gonna like figure out a way to like demand laundry detergent for you or something because
I
there's gotta
expect
be
a delivery
something
on my doorstep. You gotta get it over to Jamil. You gotta get it over to Philadelphia to her.
Yeah.
You know, like I will donate to her. And that's the thing is that I'm on the ambulatory side. So we have this well patients. If she's an inpatient nurse, that's I would actually something to really benefit you guys is to see like, you know, something that would have been nice is if there was someone from the inpatient setting and myself from the ambulatory care setting. Because the inpatient setting is completely different. I don't know what it's like. I just hear the numbers, but I am not in that fight. You know, eventually I may be, you know, they may float me there and I will take the assignment. But, you know, currently I'm in the front where I'm doing the screening, I'm doing the talking, you know, we're talking about diagnosing. And then we go from there, you know, so there is high exposure where I am, but again, they get the positives, they get the people who are, and then how do you balance the people who are sick from other reasons, So that is a great, that would be a great conversation, you know, should you guys have time to do that, but we do. And, you know, to people like Jamil and, you know, my people, not only my Filipino nurses, but my nurses everywhere, my nurses, the doctors, their CNAs, our LVNs, everybody, I mean, LVNs are nurses, but, you know, everybody who's out there and, you know, EVS who helps us by cleaning everything up. Like we are a team and this is not the time for us to be upset with each other. And something that we have to understand is that we are all going through it. There's not one of us who isn't feeling the frustration. No one wants to be at home. I got to homeschool my kids. Have you met my 9-year-old boy? No.
He looks exactly like Harold.
Oh, he does. I think he's cuter than my brother though. But you know, like, yeah, but he acts like my brother, which is the frustrating part sometimes. But you know, like, and he's not, no, Harold is a really kind man. And my son, he's just energetic. And how do you keep a kid like that in here? And the struggle for us as a family right now is just both of us are essential workers. Both of us are out. He's out in the field. He's out, running calls. I'm at home. I'm at work. In the interim, one of us is at home with the kids, just helping them not go crazy, because then that your responsibility as a parent is to help them adjust and help them adapt, because it's whole nother job, and it's hard. Parenting is hard. Parenting in a pandemic is hard.
Harder. And I think during this time we're sort of learning each other in like different ways and trying to be as innovative as possible.
Yes.
Like just hearing some of the positive things. I want to uplift kind of like the positive things people are doing, whether it be supporting your local business, whether it is like what Elaine was saying, thinking about ways to donate. I know there's some companies out there that are stepping up and doing that. I think some hotels in Southern California are donating towels, stuff like that. Some folks have decided they're going to sew a bunch of masks like we talked about. Some people with 3D printers are printing out like the kids
shields,
masks, all that stuff.
Awesome.
So like the human spirit, I have a lot of hope for us getting all through this together, but clearly it is like going through it together.
Agreed.
And what we hear, Elaine said it best earlier, we're just kind of like friends hanging out, and we really want to share like the positive vibes with our listeners out there, whether you're new or you're an old listener to our podcast. But thank you guys for joining us on this platform. And we really want to give a chance for our frontliners the ability to share some of their stories, and we just wanted to let you know we appreciate you. And
absolutely. I mean, kudos to everybody who's out there, and even to you guys, and the people who are staying at home. Like, I know it's tough, but thank you so much for staying home, because it reduces your risk of infection, reduces your chance of coming into contact with us, and reduces the risk of other people taking care of you in the hospital. So it really just helps us out when we kind of comply. And I've used Zoom for like meetings. I don't go on meetings very often. I'm usually just in the clinic side, but I've had happy hours with my friends. I've had happy hours with my cousin. I'm like, I never thought that I would drink by myself in my house, but here I am, like just having, and sometimes that's what it is. And like last night I was on a chat with my cousins, and we had gone all the way from being super silly. So majority of our conversations are silly or just informative, like, hey, you can get on Island Pacific's website and reserve a sack of rice, like that's we were like, oh shoot, let me go reserve. So, like it's just little things like that, or to the point where you're like, I'm feeling sad because this has happened, or I got exposed to a COVID patient today, this kid, there's all these little things that are going on. So there is just a change of emotion that happens, and the way that you get through it is with each other. You really you need people. You really need to see and understand that we're all going through the same thing. And when you're open-minded and kind, that's when like, all right, we are going to get this, because this is not going to last forever. It's not going to last forever. The estimated peak is about the end of April. It is the end of April, beginning of May. Especially, we're doing a better job here in Southern California. Just we're wider. We're further apart from each other. And there's a good amount of compliance with the shelter in place. So our numbers, hopefully, knock on wood, don't get super gnarly. But so the peak is April, mid-April, early May. And then the thought is that it'll be done completely by mid-July. And so,
Wow.
Mid-July. And that's when the NBA finals will happen, right?
Oh god.
Yeah.
Glad your head's in the right place, Joe.
Sorry.
It'll be the Lakers versus who cares. Therese.
Yes.
I want to say Bing, but it's just like,
it's okay. People call me Bing. Not many non-Filipino, most Filipinos call me Bing. So
I just really want to say thank you. Because like this is like the whole meeting online. It's funny that in self-isolation, I have talked to my family and friends more week to week and checked in, because it was like, we know that we don't take it for granted.
Yeah.
And the thing I miss most is like being able to hug everyone.
Yes.
So
Oh,
like
yeah.
come July, I'm gonna be like hugging and like
Yeah.
you're not gonna not get a hug from me. If you see
Yeah.
me,
Hug
I'm
in the
gonna hug
heat.
you. I'm gonna hug you. Virtual hug. That's what
Yes,
this
virtual
is. Because we've been giving each other virtual hugs, like we're doing virtual happy hours, virtual hugs. This is what we do with TFAL is like a small drop in the bucket, but we give virtual hugs to all the frontliners out there doing the tough work. You in the healthcare industry, if you're working in the grocery stores, if you're working at like Target, which I guess is a grocery store now.
Yeah.
And the
Police
folks, the folks picking vegetables and fruits.
Farm workers,
Yes.
Farm workers.
Yes.
the firefighters, the policemen, all of those folks who are trying to keep us safe.
Yes.
Ryan working at Wreck and Park.
Our maintenance workers, we're
The
trying to
market-
clean
yeah.
everything
Yes.
like more
Yes.
than 5 times a day, you know.
Correct.
Stuff like
Yes,
that.
you're right.
And then all our friends who like are small business owners, like we're trying to figure out ways to support everyone. We will get through this. We'll
We
be
will.
different, and things will change because they have to. There's no
This
way
is a
it's not
changing,
going to.
life-changing event. Yeah.
Yeah, and I can't wait to be able to not have to worry about having a mask on my face
I know.
or like wipes or like having really dry hands.
Yeah.
These hands, these brown
These
hands,
brown hands are
These
so
brown
dry.
hands are so dry from
I will
washing
say-
them.
I will say, like, you know, yeah, my hands are almost always dry, but I'm an Olympic. I CrossFit and I Olympic lift, and my calluses are going away. I'm really
Oh
sad about.
no!
So at least I can't pet you from here. You know, you. So yeah, that's a bummer too.
Yeah, so thank you. And then Joe,
Yeah.
did you have an announcement?
Oh, just real quick. Thank you. Well, thank you again, Therese or Bing,
Yes.
for joining.
Thank you for having. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Just real quick, for those who are joining us from YouTube or IG, we are going to do a live kumukbang or mukbang on the fastest growing social media app in from the Philippines, Kumu. You probably heard us talk about Kumu before on the podcast, but yeah, we are gonna do a live not eat off, but like we're gonna eat live. We're gonna talk about food and kind of just hang out.
Eat off
But
sounds terrible.
I know.
I'm like,
but check out our social media channels and we'll post the time. It'll be this Saturday at 7:30 p.m.
We're gonna eat whatever is around. So who knows what that is?
I know what I'm not
Oreos,
gonna eat.
Off.
I'm not gonna. No, I'm not gonna eat Vienna sausages. Sorry.
You messed up. You
Yeah, I
didn't
did.
eat it the right way.
For
Mike,
another
did you hear
time.
that? Mike, did you hear that?
Yeah.
Ryan,
There's
did you-
only one way to eat Vienna sausages, and that's from the microwave and then straight into your mouth. So
Anyway, that's not gonna happen on Saturday. So.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody on YouTube and Instagram Live. And yeah, we'll be posting this. You'll be able to listen to this later on. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. There's
Thank
not
you.
enough thank yous out there. for
Thank
us.
you.
thank you guys.
Bye.
Take care. Thank you for doing what you do too. I love it.
Love you, Bing.
Love you. I'll see you. Virtual hug and
Virtual
Kisses.
hug.
I will see you guys later.
All right.
Alrighty.
Bye.
Again.